I do believe we need to move forward with the impeachment process. And let me tell you why. No president, not Donald Trump or anyone else, is a king. They are a president.
We have to get information. And when Don McGahn doesn't show up, when Bill Barr doesn't show up, when we can't get any of these documents, then that is, in fact, a constitutional crisis. And I believe we have to use the full force of the Constitution to try to resolve that crisis.
Many of us on the Judiciary Committee have been exposed to this overwhelming evidence of high crimes and misdemeanors.
The opening of an inquiry by the Judiciary Committee, the formal beginning of this process is important, not only because of what's in the Mueller report, but because of the behavior of the president engaging in an ongoing cover-up to prevent Congress from doing its work.
I think opening an impeachment inquiry will help us get that information. And to your point, I think it will help educate the American public.
I think the only thing that we can do is to start that impeachment inquiry.
I feel very strongly back sometime that, in fact, we met that threshold.
We must open an impeachment inquiry.
We have come to the time of impeachment.
Even as early as a week or two ago, I wasn't there, but at this point, enough already.
But I am calling for having this debate, for opening this inquiry so that we can get the facts before the American people.
I don't know whether there would be more damage to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party politically if you go through impeachment. But whatever that damage is, it's not as bad as the long-term damage to the country if we do nothing and we let Donald Trump get away with obstructing justice and just sit still and do nothing.
Building your online business?
Okay. All right. Good morning. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. Peace and blessings, everybody. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. And I'm back with another visual, you know what I'm saying? Another video. But yeah, man, as you can see, and as the title says, Democrats call for Trump's impeachment over Iran strikes. Crazy, right? All the man's trying to do is keep the country safe. You know, we've been covering this situation with Israel and Iran, and you know, the Democrats just can't reach across the aisle and say, great job. You know, it's always got, especially the ones that be in the media, the ones that are real visible, they got to have a problem. I mean, all the people that are military veterans, even the ones that are Democrats, that are military veterans, said that this was a good move. Trump had the balls to pull it off. You know what I'm saying? And it was a great move strategically. These people in Iran have been threatening to do harm to America for 30, 40 years. At one point, were we going to neutralize that situation, neutralize that threat? Were we going to wait till they actually obtain a nuclear weapon and see what they do then? I mean, I'm just trying to understand. So for the Democrat Party to come out here and blame Donald Trump and say they want to, first of all, they didn't impeach Donald Trump 2 or 3 times before. And he still is our president once again. You know what I'm saying? So before we get into that, I definitely want to share this. And I don't want no smoke, so I'm going to make it even bigger. And this is copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips of the balance in favor of fair use. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I just want to make sure I do that so we don't get no strikes. we gonna talk about it, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, this was something that only somebody like President Trump would have the courage to do and say, hey man, y'all keep threatening us. We gonna have to pull your card to see what you doing with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the move, man. That's just the move. But yeah, man, the Democrats like AOC out here crashing out, trying to get the man impeached. Like, it's not going nowhere, bro. Y'all might as well cut it out. But let's see what they talking about, man. Let's see what they talking about.
Meanwhile, Democrats continue to blast President Trump's handling of Israel and Iran, and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez arguing the ceasefire proves the president broke the law.
On the ceasefire, the president posted on Truth Social that there is a ceasefire deal between Israel and Iran. Do you believe that?
He also said that it was a war. And I think that the president of the United States admitting that he unilaterally brought the United States into a war.
First of all, let me cut off right there. Right there, because this was not a war move. This was not a declaration of war. This was to neutralize a threat that these people have been perpetuating us for the past few decades. So this wasn't going to be no war. This wasn't going to be no back and forth. This is going to be so, hey, watch out. We're going to drop these few things on y'all just to let y'all know, man, knock it off. Y'all keep trying to threaten us. Y'all got it in y'all Constitution, you know, unalive Americans and death to all Americans. At what point, you know what I'm saying, is that going to continue to go on? So this wasn't no war. And see, they thinking like, oh, if he declares war, he didn't bomb any civilians. When it's war, oh yeah, you bombing everything. No, he went after their military bases where they were making nuclear weapons that they were threatening us for decades to do harm to us. You keep saying, oh, y'all gonna mess around and we gonna attack you like, you know, like you never been attacked before. All these threats, all these different movements y'all making to get nuclear weapons, you put it in your Constitution. First opportunity you get, you taking America out. So not only us, Israel and other nations. So, you know, this ain't no war. This wasn't no back and forth, wasn't no tit for tat. Let's continue.
War without congressional approval is a very grave public admission. It is illegal. It is unconstitutional.
The Congresswoman also writing on Twitter, it is absolutely and clearly grounds for impeachment. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is here. Not everyone's buying it. Listen to Charlemagne.
There have been a bunch of presidents who have ordered strikes without congressional approval. Barack Obama did it against Libya. Joe Biden ordered strikes in Iraq and Syria without congressional approval. Bill Clinton did it. So presidents ordering military action without congressional.
Facts. Charlemagne just broke it down. Every president has orchestrated strikes on nations, from Obama to Biden to Clinton, you name them. They didn't have to get the approval from the Congress to do that, because it wasn't no war. It was it was a little, you know, wake up call for whoever, whatever nation, Libya or whoever. Same thing with Iran. They didn't have to sit there and talk to get a vote on it from 250 different people and waste time when we need to move right away. What's wrong with y'all?
Congressional approval has become pretty routine. So why didn't it lead to impeachment for everybody else? Like when Barack Obama did it, when Biden did it.
But it has. And obviously you had all the experience there during this time. Kevin, the issue about Iran getting a nuclear weapon has been, maybe up until 3 days ago, the most bipartisan issue on Capitol Hill. And now all of a sudden the Democrats feel like did they want Iran to continue to have this?
Facts. Up until Donald Trump got back into office, when she said bipartisan, that means that both parties, Democrats and Republicans, both agreed that Iran should not have nuclear weapons because they pose an imminent threat to the United States. This was never an issue before. Now, all of a sudden, they need something to hang their hat on, and it ain't going to work. They just looking crazy.
Capability?
I think it shows again that they just get a Trump syndrome. Hear what just took place in a moment of history our children will study. What President Trump is able to accomplish has reset the world stage, had made the world actually safer, the decisiveness, the planning. And this goes back even into his first administration when he took out Soleimani. And the other thing that you have found when he did his first trip to the Middle East, secured and rebuilt those relationships that we needed. But what he was able to accomplish this weekend will change the course of history. We will study this like the Cuban Missile Crisis and then tearing down the wall. This is how big this is, and Democrats are on the wrong side of history to even try to complain. They should build together, make America stronger, and the world in a better, safer place.
Mr. Speaker, good to see you. So we've been hearing some of these Democrats once again calling for President Trump to be impeached over all of this. Dana yesterday had a chance to ask Senator John Fetterman if he thinks that's the road to go down. Take a listen. We'll get your thoughts on the other side.
I mean, of course, no. She knows it. I know it. We all know it. That's not going anywhere. And, you know, he's been impeached twice, and now he's still our president as well now, too. So it's not going anywhere, and I don't think that's helpful. And I think if you...
And I see John Fetterman is a Democrat, and he even telling the other Democrats, like, man, y'all need to get off that. We need to come together. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier. They like, man, why the Republicans and the Democrats don't work together? Because they do stupid stuff like this. But you got smart and wise Democrats like John Fetterman that are willing to be like, okay, let's just work. Because, I mean, this is a win for the United States. National security should not have to be something that we should be divided on, because we all live in this country. So we should all want to be safe as possible. And this is just something no civilians got hurt in, but you neutralize the threat. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
If you throw that term around, that actually diminishes what the severity of what impeachment is really reserved for.
So he says Democrats are essentially going to be a hamster in a wheel if they try this again.
If they would start listening to Fetterman, they might start winning some seats again. I mean, Fetterman is actually talking about where the American public is at and making common sense. But if you study what this president has been able to achieve, every president before him has looked and make sure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon. He just carried that out. At the same time, he's about to get a helicopter to board a plane to go to NATO. We know this is a delicate ceasefire. He puts it back on track. And at the same time he's getting on that plane, he has the Senate working to move the big, beautiful bill. It is amazing what this man has been able to accomplish in this short amount of time. But it's the decisiveness is what he's been able to do. And those that even talk about impeachment, in history, they'll be laughed at in the process of what position he put the world back on stage here, and what hypocrites they are, especially after the disastrous move that Biden did in Afghanistan and what Obama did on his bombing, and they said nothing.
Yes, he continues to be blessed with the worst opposition. Let me ask you one final question, which is on the big, beautiful bill. This action, there is a lot of defense spending in the bill. There's border money in the bill. Your thoughts on where that stands now? We'll talk to Senator Thune next hour.
This bill is going to get done. There is no question.
Okay, they going off into the big, beautiful bill. You know, I'm with that too. You know what I'm saying? Trump out here working, man. The Democrats giving that man a hard time. He already got to deal with international pressure. He got to deal with domestic pressure. You know, the Democrats crashing out. Everything this man does, they got something to say about it, even if it's a W for them. You know, that's a win for everybody. Everybody should be on accord with it. But once again, every chance they get, they come out here, they complain, and that's they don't never had no alternative. They don't have no alternate plan. They don't have any any legislation. They don't have any ideas of what should be done. They just complain about Donald Trump and try to get him impeached. And this dude right here, this Al Green dude, man, this the dude that had the cane that was at the White House that one time, man, that was waving the cane around and got kicked out. See what he talking about, man.
Mr. Speaker, and still I rise. And I rise today in the name of government of the people, by the people, for the people. I rise today because our country is nearing a moment of decision. I rise because we are at the intersection of democracy and autocracy. I rise to announce that at this moment in time, I have filed HRES 537. HRES 537 is a privileged resolution. HRES 537 has been filed because I believe that the President of the United States has committed an impeachable act. HRES 57 addresses abuse of presidential powers by disregarding the separation of powers, devolving American democracy into an authoritarian government, usurping congressional power to declare war. Mr. Speaker, I take no delight in what I'm doing. I do this because I love my country. I do this because I understand that the Constitution is going to be meaningful or it will be meaningless. I do it because I understand that the President of the United States of America has a duty to consult Congress before taking this country to war. I do it because...
Once again, this is a false narrative that it was about a war. What parts don't these people understand? This ain't no back and forth. This ain't no war. Ain't no civilians. Ain't none of that. They still trying to call this act a war. This was a neutralization of a threat. But once again, all they do is complain. They don't come up with no alternatives, no solutions, just complaints because they Trump derangement syndrome. Man, y'all need to stop stressing my president out, man. Let that man cook. He trying to fix this country after the Democrats have ruined it over the last 4 years. Could you imagine if Kamala Harris was in office right now with all this stuff going on with Iran and Israel? Do you think she would have had the backbone to step in and intervene and even get them on the phone to talk about a ceasefire? Do you think she had what it took? That would have broke all this pressure would have broke that lady, if you ask me. True leadership. I don't even want to hear no more from this dude, man. I don't even want to hear no more from this dude. But yeah, true leadership is in effect right now. Whether you agree with all this, his methods, whether you agree or disagree, that don't even matter, bro. The fact that he's getting things done. If Kamala Harris would have won, that border would still be wide open. Right now, we got zero activity at the border. ICE getting illegal immigrants up out of here. That's snatching up jobs and resources from the American taxpaying citizens. But yet you complain. On a bipartisan issue, you can't reach across the aisle. These people are delusional. And all these people, man, that been coming up against Donald Trump, he did respond. You know, he took to Twitter and responded. We're gonna bring that up. Yeah. Let's bring that up. Okay. Now we're gonna read this here. Trump unload. Now this is the Hill. Trump unloads on AOC, Amelia Ocasio-Cortez over impeachment comments. Now earlier we played what she said. So let's go here. President Trump unloaded on Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York on Tuesday after the prominent Democrat suggested Trump's decision to bomb Iranian nuclear facilities was grounds for impeachment. Trump unleashed a lengthy post on Truth Social from aboard Air Force One as he traveled to NATO summit in the Netherlands, attacking AOC intelligence and daring her to follow through on her impeachment threat. He said, and I quote, "Stupid AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the dumbest people in Congress." This Trump. He says, "Stupid AOC, one of the dumbest people in Congress, is now calling for my impeachment, despite the fact that the crooked and corrupt Democrats have already done that twice before," Trump posted. The reason her rantings is all of the victories that the USA has had under the Trump administration. Trump continued, "The Democrats ain't used to winning, and she can't stand the concept of our country being successful again." Ooh, Trump cooking her. Trump went on to attack Democratic reps Jasmine Crockett of Texas and Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. He also appeared to refer to AOC as the mouse. He called her the mouse and suggested she take the same cognitive exam he took as part of his annual physical exam and is used to test for cognitive decline. Trump said, "Instead of her constant complaining, Alexandria should go back home to Queens, where I was also brought up." Ooh, he said, "That's where I grew up." Where he grew up, Trump from New York, from Queens, New York, son. "And straighten out her filthy, disgusting, crime-ridden streets in the district she represents." "And which she never goes to anymore." End quote. Oh my God. He just cooked up, man. He just cooked AOC, man. He put her in a pot and cooked her, man. He just cooked AOC, man. Let's read that again. Because her district is trash. Like, she don't even go visit to talk to the people. It's nothing but prostitution going on, nothing but people getting robbed in your district, but you worried about what in Queens, New York, but you worried about what the president of the United States doing? Once again, and I quote, "Instead of her constant complaining, Alexandria should go back home to Queens, where I was also brought up, and straighten out her filthy, disgusting, crime-ridden streets in the district she represents, and which she never goes to anymore," Trump wrote. Let's continue. Trump has repeatedly attacked AOC over the years, though he was also at times acknowledged her political talent and charisma. AOC was one of the few select lawmakers who argued that striking Iran over the weekend was an impeachable offense, calling it a grave violation of the Constitution and congressional war powers. What? Man, you see what I'm saying, man? But he cooked up, man. He has impulsively risked launching a war that may ensnare us for generations. It's obviously clearly grounds for impeachment, AOC posted Saturday on social media. Man, that's what I'm saying, man. But see, they got the right one with Trump, man. They got the right one with Trump. See, Trump, he gonna clap back. You know what I'm saying? Trust and believe that. He gonna clap back on their heels, bro. I'm telling you, man. But yeah, man, with all that, you know, it's just good. It's just great to see that we got some type of Democrats that got some type of sense out here, man. You know, we got some of them that's looking at this through a logical lens. Like, man, I do like to feel safe in my own country. You know what I'm saying? And one of them is Stephen A. Smith on this issue. Sometimes he hit or miss, but on this one, I got to give him his props. You know what I'm saying? Stephen A. Smith, you know, he did a great job on this. So we're going to cue that up right here.
And Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem. Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most
late Saturday night, announcing the United States had struck 3 nuclear sites in Iran. The president sent B-2 bombers and dropped a number of massive ordnance penetrator bombs, also known as bunker busters, during the mission over Iran. Earlier today, the United Nations nuclear watchdog said the bombing raid likely caused, quote, very significant damage, end quote, to the underground parts of Iran's Fordow nuclear site. Meanwhile, Iranian military officials and members of parliament vowed that the United States will pay a price for the strikes, and today they fired missiles toward U.S. bases in Iraq and Qatar. All this while President Trump alluded to the possibility of regime change in Iran in a social media post Sunday. There has been no word yet from Iran's supreme leader, but the exiled, quote, crown prince, end quote, of Iran has called for the Ayatollah Khomeini to step down and face justice. This is an ugly situation, no doubt about it. And those of us who are reticent about war involving the United States, I can't blame them. But it doesn't stop there. And we're not about to stop there on this show. I will preface my comments by saying that I'm the novice of the crew compared to aficionados out there who cover politics for a living. But Boo Boo the Fool can see certain things that's pretty damn obvious. Number one, we have a situation where Iran has been a threat to our ally in the Middle East, Israel, for many, many years. We understand that. They have called for death to Israel just like they've called for death to the United States of America. When you consider that and you consider how determined they appear to be to wipe Israel off the face of this earth, we shouldn't be surprised that we're here today. I don't like war. I don't like war involving America. I get that part. But I do believe that if Iran had a nuclear weapon, that they would use it. And I do agree that you can't allow an enemy of the United States to have a nuclear weapon. It's that simple to me. Having said that, I want to preface the comment by saying,
bottom line, like, what's wrong with you people? He just said everything right there. He don't even need to go further. Why do somebody that want to take you out, first chance they get, and you got the possibility to stop them from doing it just by denying them the access of the weapon to do it? Why would you have a problem with that? I'm just saying, bro. That's how delusional. At least he a Democrat with some sense.
I stand by everything that I say if it's absolutely true. And let's not sit here and act like there aren't questions as to whether or not that is true. You got to remember that since 1996, Benjamin Netanyahu, the leader of Israel, has repeatedly stated that Iran is close to developing a nuclear weapon. He said it in 1996. He said it in 2000. He said it in 2005. He said it in 2011. He said it in 2014. He said it in 2015. He said it in 2018. He said it in 2020. He said it in 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been almost 30 years since Netanyahu's been saying this. So forgive folks in the world if there's some skeptics out there. Because we all know that he doesn't play. He wants to eradicate Iran at all costs, at least their ability to have a nuclear weapon. He wants to completely disarm them because he considers them a threat to the existence of Israel. Now, here's where I get frustrated because once again, here's the novice that's a centrist that comes into play and he's listening to all of this stuff. And here's where I get infuriated. The Democrats are calling, or at least some of them, are calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump. Same old song and dance. Thought we heard this before. I thought that was over and done with. The minute you lost the election with the popular vote in the Electoral College vote and losing every sweepstakes. I thought we were over that. But evidently not. Question number one. No matter what you feel about the President of the United States, do you think that's the time, while we're in the middle of such strife, to be calling for the impeachment of the President of the United States?
Exactly. This man got enough on his plate trying to defend the nation. And you got these Democrats running a distraction, putting more on this man's plate when he has to be focused on protecting the country. This ain't the time for all of that. Political theater.
Particularly if you're a representative, you're an elected official in the United States of America. I don't think so. That's number one. Number two, were the Democrats saying that when Obama bombed Libya? When he was in office? We're making all of this noise about how the War Powers Act is utilized and how Donald Trump didn't receive congressional approval. Well, this is not an act of war.
Thank you.
This is eradicating a threat. Civilians weren't targeted. Nuclear sites were targeted. So if nuclear sites were targeted, but no civilians were targeted, then that's not a war. At least not yet. Which means that you can navigate your way around the War Powers Act itself, and you don't have to concern yourself with receiving congressional approval. The Democrats know that because of Obama. So if you knew that because of Obama and you didn't say it when it involved him in Libya, why would you turn around and all of a sudden try to make that case against Donald Trump? I'm not here condoning what Trump did because I don't know if he's completely telling the truth. I'd like to believe he is. I'd like to believe that he did it totally because Iran is that kind of existential threat. And we see him here. What does the president say? The sites that we hit in Iran were totally destroyed and everyone knows it. Only the fake news will say anything different in order to try and demean as much as possible. And even they say they were pretty well destroyed. Working especially hard on this falsehood is Allison Cooper of Fake News CNN. Allison? You mean Anderson? It's very disrespectful, Mr. President. It's very disrespectful. We live in a country where we embrace the LGBTQ plus community. You don't have to mock Anderson Cooper that way. His name is Anderson Cooper. Could you show some respect, please? That's all. You're a grown-up. That shouldn't be too much to ask. Dumb Brian L. Roberts, chairman of Comcast. So now it's not Comcast, it's Comcast. Johnny Call of ABC Fake News. Really? If you're attacking the individual, why attack the whole network? Everybody for ABC or NBC, CBS, or anybody else ain't fake. Could you please grow up? See, this is the kind of stuff that I've spoken against when it comes to this president, but I digress. It says here, and always the losers of, again, Comcast, NBC fake news. It never ends with the sleazebags in the media, and that's why their ratings are at an all-time low. Zero credibility.
Man, you know Trump petty, man. You know that, man. All right, Stephen A., we got enough from you, man. We got enough from you. Great job. At least you got some sense over there, man. I got to remember, you still a Democrat, so you still got Democratic tendencies, you know. But anyhow, anywho, you know what I'm saying? With that being said, man, he was absolutely correct. This ain't the time to be nitpicking about did he get congressional approval to protect the nation. When you didn't have that type of energy when Obama bombed Libya or Biden bombed the other country, y'all didn't have nothing to say about that when Clinton or any other president. For this is not a war. This is, we going to active war. We need Congress to vote on that. But this ain't nothing to vote about. This is to neutralize a threat. That, hey, what we gonna do? We gonna wait until the threat is at our front doorstep? You know what I'm saying? Well, with that being said, man, they trying to get Trump impeached and all that, at least the ones that's on television. But peep this out. They did a vote in the House of Representatives, man. And actually, 128 Democrats voted against the impeachment. The Democrats voted 93 for impeachment. So the Democrats, the majority of Democrats, were not even with Trump being impeached because of this, man. This is crazy, man. Hold on.
128 Democrats voted with Republicans not to impeach Trump.
Hold on. Run that back.
128 Democrats voted with Republicans not to impeach Trump today. There are a few potential reasons why. First and foremost, Republicans have been coming out and saying that they've been receiving death threats for voting against the Trump administration. So if that's happening to Republicans, what do you think is happening to Democrats? Second, I think that they all...
So now all of a sudden, you see how they spin the narrative still? Now they getting death threats? That's why they ain't want to impeach him. What about the death threat that came from Iran to blow you away? What are you talking about? You got Democrats crashing out about Donald Trump every day on national television. They ain't getting no death threats. Like, this is crazy.
All don't believe that it will work. And they believe that if they vote yes and it fails, they will be targeted even more so. Additionally, obviously, a lot of people have been lobbied, shall we say, by specific PACs from the Middle Eastern region. And if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. Money talks in this country, and apparently suffering doesn't mean shit. Lastly, I hear a lot of people floating around this idea of JD Vance would be worse. What's worse, bleeding out because your butthole got chopped into 10 million pieces or being suffocated in a porta potty? No, but seriously, JD Vance can form complete sentences, and that is a positive in my book. JD Vance probably doesn't have dementia. Sure, all of these people, literally all of them, want to squeeze every last breath out of your body and tie it to their own personal profits. So pick your horse.
Yeah, so as you can see, man, the Democrats are pretty mad about that. But majority seem to have some common sense, man. So it is some still hope there, man. But the Democrat as a political party, they're done. They're finished. You know, the ones that's on television crashing out, talking about Trump need to be impeached, you know, the AOCs and the Jasmine Crockett's and the Al Greens of the world running around here. Man, we about national security over here, man. What you talking about? Trump did what he supposed to do. That's real leadership. You can impeach him all you want. He's still gonna be president. You know what I mean? And y'all should be ashamed of yourself sitting up there, you know, putting extra stress on this man or trying to while he's dealing with foreign affairs, dealing with irate nations that are trying to target us. What's wrong with y'all? This is a bipartisan win. It should be a no-brainer. But shout out to David Fetterman and Charlemagne the God and Stephen A. Smith for having some type of sense. I was shocked. You know, there is some Democrats out there. And shout out to the 128 Democrats that voted with the Republicans to not impeach the president, man. That's got to be the craziest mess ever, man. This man sitting up there, you know, doing everything he can. And I'm happy he flashed on AOC like that. Enough is enough, man. Why y'all messing with him while he trying to save the country from being attacked? Insane. But yeah, man. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. Yeah, man. It's the Democratic Party never ceases to amaze me, man. If you still calling yourself a Democrat at this point, I don't know what to say. I mean, at least be an independent, man. Because these people, you know, it's just they against their own better interest, man. Against they hate their own country, man. It's insane. But yeah, man, it's your boy Jay Taylor. Voices for the voiceless. We love y'all. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Peace and blessings.